I've covered many parts of the modern experience of refugees and migrants, whether it was back in 2006, standing at the border between Iraq and Syria and watching thousands of people leave Iraq then, or the huge displacement that happened last year into Europe of Syrians and others. But I had not yet seen this leg of the epic migration that the world is experiencing right now. It's 65.3 million people on the move, forcibly displaced because of conflict or oppression, and that doesn't include the people who are also forced by poverty or local violence to move on to try to find a better life. So here was this chance to witness what is happening on the busiest asylum route on the Mediterranean Sea. And what really surprised me at the end of the day, when more than 300 people were on board, was just the sheer number of countries they came from. There were people from Mali, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Ivory Coast, Egypt, Gaza, even Syria, and most of them were young. And many of these people had spent 7 or 8 hours on the water. Some of them had run out of fuel, and many could not believe that they had actually survived. So they were in shock. And it was really hard as a journalist to get beyond that at first and to learn enough about their lives that they had left behind, about the kind of people that they actually were. So the smallest clues that I would normally look for as a journalist were absent. There were so few clues, in fact, besides what they tell you. You can't see their homes, their neighborhoods, the different clothes they would normally wear on an average day, or how they interact with friends, what they do for fun. Many of them, though not all, were literally climbing up onto the responder rescue ship with nothing but the clothes on their backs. A few of the men did have wallets. A lot of them had cigarettes and lighters, but the lighters were taken away by the crew because they're a serious fire hazard on board. Some of what they did have really spoke to the fact that they had expected the worst. For example, at least one man had written a contact number inside his package of cigarettes. Some who could afford life jackets had written emergency contacts on the backs of those. One man wore a pendant that said, "All things are possible with God." There were also tiny nods to the places they wanted to go. I noticed, for example, a few men wearing t-shirts or shorts that had Italy logos, often related to soccer. Another man who'd wanted to go to Germany had a scarf with the logo of a German soccer team. As you can imagine, having been on the water, shoes were rare, and that's why actually the first thing that they received from the Red Cross workers waiting for them on the other side when we arrived is a pair of flip-flops. But a couple of the men actually had phones with them, smartphones. And one of the first questions one of them asked when he got on board was whether there was Wi-Fi. He was really anxious to tell his family that he'd actually survived. And once they'd settled in, I actually saw one man taking a selfie. It was a good reminder that most of them are just like us, only through sheer random bad luck that they had been born in places and under circumstances that no one would ever willingly choose. It's why, to me, they seemed like defectors, shunning their home and choosing to go to the other side. The next day, after we'd all had some sleep, they seemed to already be coming back to life. That stunned look, their shocked look on their faces was gone. They were smiling and chatting, and the deck came alive with excitement and personality. And given what they've been through, not just on this journey, but on the epic journeys of leaving their home countries, it's really something that they can smile at all. And when I asked one young woman what she wanted to do in Europe, she said, "To have fun like you." It's amazing what we take for granted. Nahlah Ayed, CBC News on the Responder on the Mediterranean Sea.